Hi, I'm Claire Milliken. Welcome to episode 152 of Art This Week. On this episode, I visit the Nasher Sculpture Center and speak with curator Jed Morse about their current exhibition, Sightings, Eva Rothschild. Now for Art This Week. Hi, I'm here with Jed Morse, the curator of the Nasher Sculpture Center, here talking about their ongoing exhibition, Sightings, and their current installation by Eva Rothschild. So thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So can you give us a little bit of information about how this installation came together, the collaborative process with the artist Eva Rothschild?
Sure. So as you know, the Sightings series, we go out and we commission established and emerging contemporary artists to do new works of art in specific spaces throughout the Sculpture Center. So it often ends up as an architectural intervention along the lines of something like what Eva created. But with her, we talked to her about possibly doing a work of art for the entrance space or for the garden, various other spaces. The work that Eva did here at the Nasher Sculpture Center really represents the combination of experiences from two previous commissions. One from 2009, the Duveen's Commission at the Tate Britain, in which she created this really incredible structure of 26 black steel triangles that elaborated throughout this 300-foot long space, going over archways and really engaging the space in a very different and exciting way. And then another commission at the Public Art Fund in New York City, where she created a work for Doris Friedman Plaza, the southeast corner of Central Park, which took this kind of striated colorful vocabulary and created this 30-foot tall sculpture this kind of spider-like sculpture that stood on its toes, and but it also created this sense of architectural enclosure. And so what's impressive about those and this particular work is that it takes it's very hard to really tell what's going on, to tell what that thing is. It is, in one sense, just a very large-scale sculpture. In another sense, it is this kind of elaborate line drawing throughout the space. And in another way, because it does take on this grand scale, it becomes this kind of architectural enclosure in and of itself. So, you know, we're standing here amidst these tubes that kind of go all over the place. They run along the floor, they climb up the walls, they go over the doorways, it jumps down to the lower level, it kind of wraps underneath the bridge here, even going over the admissions desk here really occupies the space and creates these kind of a completely different experience of this kind of long, open entrance bay at the Nasher.
So since it is such a mammoth installation, can you give us a little insight of how it was installed? And you know, it is so site specific. Can you give us a little insight about that process?
Sure. We provided the artist with architectural plans of the space, and she hired an architect who actually had worked on the Nasher Sculpture Center previously, one of the local architects who worked on it, to create a three-dimensional model, a very precise three-dimensional model of the space that they could work with. And so, you know, as much as that kind of precision work needs to be done in a computer model, the kind of envisioning of what that object will look like in the space happens in very low-tech ways. So she created a scale model of this gallery and then actually used colored straws and joined them together to create a sense of what the form would feel like within this space. And so those those two approaches, that very kind of low-tech modeling by hand and then the high-tech modeling by computer, resulted in this. And the process, that at least gets you so far, and you understand how much material you need, how long each particular section is going to be, and you can plan out very precisely how it's going to fit within this space, because obviously it has to meet the desk, it has to meet the walls in certain locations, and those are important points that determine how it's going to run throughout the space. the way that it is put together, it's actually just a series of straight pieces and curves. And even though it was designed for this space, it could conceivably be reconfigured for other spaces.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So is there specific reasoning for all these variety of colors other than the fact just to create more life and movement in the space? Is it, you know, designated per section of the gallery, or can you elaborate on that?
Sure. A lot of Eva's work incorporates an element of visual indeterminacy.
Okay.
I mean, she likes the sense of someone looking at something and not really understanding what they're looking at. And so she tries to create a little bit of visual confusion in each of her works of art. There is kind of a clear rationality to this work, and that it is just a series of straight lines and curves. It kind of works with the rectilinearity of the space in that way, but at the same time, that kind of visual experience is complicated by this striping and the changing of the colors. Throughout the installation, it generally goes from cooler colors toward the street to warmer colors by the garden. But those gradually kind of blend into each other, so it will shift from one color to the next, and then there will be these kind of intrusions into those bands of colors by colors that you will see in the completely opposite end of the installation, so that, you know, the kind of rationality of the work is then subverted.
We want to thank Jed for speaking with us. The exhibition is up through January 20th, 2013. More information on the exhibition can be found at NasherSculptureCenter.org. That's it for Art This Week. Thanks for watching.
I still got your Polaroid.